Orion lived on the edge of the human colony on a quiet planet called Valara. The planet was not very large, and most of its surface was covered with soft, rolling hills of purple grass that swayed gently in the wind. The sun here was smaller than Earth's, casting a golden orange glow over everything. Most people in the colony spent their days working on repairs, gathering resources, or studying the strange flora and fauna that made this planet so different. Orion, however, was happiest when he was exploring the small forests near the colony, looking for anything unusual. On this morning, Orion had taken his usual path through the forest, his boots sinking softly into the grass. Birds with bright blue feathers sang from the branches above. He was checking his scanner, which could detect unusual life forms, when a small, strange noise made him stop. It was a soft, weak whimper, almost like a cry for help. Orion's curiosity instantly turned into concern, following the sound. He pushed through a patch of thick, glowing ferns and froze. There, lying on the ground, was a creature unlike anything he had seen before. It was about the size of a large dog, with smooth, silver scales that shimmered in the sunlight. Its eyes glowed faintly with a soft green light, and it had small, wing-like fins on its back that twitched helplessly. One of its front legs was bent awkwardly, and Orion could tell it was in pain for a moment. Orion just watched it. The creature looked frightened but not aggressive. Its soft whimpers tugged at his heart. He knew that no human had ever recorded a species like this on Valara. The thought of leaving it to suffer made him uneasy. He took a deep breath and stepped forward slowly, careful not to scare it further. "Hey there. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you," Orion said softly. The creature blinked at him, tilting its head curiously. Orion carefully knelt down and examined its injured leg. There was a deep bruise, and it seemed weak. He frowned, thinking. He had basic medical knowledge and some advanced engineering tools, but he had never treated a creature like this. "Well, we'll have to improvise," he murmured. He opened his backpack and pulled out a small toolkit. Using gentle movements, he carefully supported the creature's leg with a soft bandage made from his jacket. The creature whimpered softly but didn't resist. Orion smiled faintly. "You're stronger than you look," he said, patting the creature's side gently. "But you need to rest." For the next hour, Orion stayed there, making sure the creature was stable. He gave it some water from his bottle, which it drank eagerly, and talked to it softly. He had always believed that kindness was universal, and somehow, he felt sure this creature understood him. When he finally decided to take the creature back to the small cabin near the forest edge, he wrapped it carefully in a light blanket he had brought. Its eyes followed him as he walked, trusting him in a way that surprised him. Orion couldn't help but feel a strange connection forming, even though he didn't understand why. As they walked back, Orion noticed something odd. The air seemed warmer, almost tinged with a soft hum, and the grass around them seemed to glow faintly in response to the creature's presence. He shook his head. "Okay, that's weird," he muttered, laughing nervously. "Maybe I've just been out here too long." By the time they reached his cabin, the creature had grown calmer. Orion set it gently on a soft bed of blankets in a corner of his living space. He quickly prepared a small bowl of nutrient paste he had for emergencies. The creature sniffed it cautiously and then began to eat, making tiny happy noises that made Orion chuckle. "You're going to be fine," he said. "I'll take care of you." He spent the rest of the day observing it. The creature had unusual features. Tiny scales along its tail that shimmered like liquid metal, small ridges along its back that seemed to pulse with color, and eyes that looked almost intelligent, like they were studying him as much as he was studying it. Orion couldn't shake the feeling that this creature was special, far beyond anything humans had discovered on Valara. As night fell, Orion lit a small lantern and sat nearby, keeping watch. The creature curled up, exhausted from the journey and the injury, but it never lost its curiosity. Orion stared at it thoughtfully. This isn't just an animal," he said softly. "There's something more to you, something I don't understand yet." Meanwhile, somewhere far across the galaxy, hidden among the stars, a pair of eyes watched silently. Lyra, the princess of a distant alien empire, was observing her companion from afar. The creature Orion had found was no ordinary animal. It was a gift from her homeworld, trained to accompany her and share her thoughts. And now, it was in the hands of a human. Lyra's heart beat faster as she studied Orion. He was unaware of her presence, unaware that his simple act of kindness was about to change the course of both their lives. He treated the creature not as a rare discovery or a scientific specimen, but as a being in need. That simple act of empathy and courage made him stand out, even from galaxies away. As Orion leaned back, watching the creature finally relax, he felt a small sense of satisfaction. He had done what he could, but he had no idea that this encounter was only the beginning of something much larger. Something that would soon bring him face to face with a world and a princess he had never imagined. For now, the forest was quiet, the stars twinkled above Valara, and Orion had no idea that the small act of helping an injured creature would echo across the stars, catching the attention of royalty in a distant empire. And in that quiet night, a bond began to form, one that neither Orion nor the alien princess could have predicted. The morning on Valara arrived slowly, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and orange. Birds with shimmering feathers sang above Orion's small cabin, and the gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of alien flowers. Orion awoke with the sound of soft whimpers. The creature he had rescued yesterday was awake, its glowing eyes blinking sleepily in the dim light. Orion smiled and stretched. "Good morning, little friend," he said, moving closer to check on it. The creature wagged its small, fin-like tail, as if greeting him. Orion carefully fed it some nutrient paste, which it ate eagerly. He noticed that the injury on its leg seemed less painful. Though the creature still favored its slightly dot as he worked, Orion's mind wandered. He had always loved helping others, but he had never felt such a strong connection to another being. There was something different about this creature, something almost intelligent. Its eyes seemed to follow him, studying his movements with curiosity. Orion could not explain why, but he felt as if it understood him on some level. Little did Orion know, he was not alone. Hidden among the treetops, cloaked in a shimmering field that bent light around her, Princess Lyra observed everything. She had followed her companion across the galaxy, worried it might be in danger. She had not expected to find a human so brave, so gentle, so remarkable. Lyra's eyes studied Orion closely. He moved with a quiet confidence, careful not to startle the creature, yet fully in control of his environment. He spoke softly, offered food, and tended to the injury with skill and patience. Lyra was impressed. In her empire, she rarely saw such empathy displayed so naturally. Most beings acted out of duty, fear, or desire, but Orion's actions came purely from kindness. "This human," Lyra whispered to herself. "He is different." She kept her distance, unsure if revealing herself now would frighten either Orion or her companion. Instead, she decided to continue observing, learning about this strange species she had only heard about in stories. Humans were considered fragile in her empire, clever but unpredictable. Orion, however, seemed neither fragile nor reckless. He was careful, clever, and compassionate. Orion spent the morning preparing a small space for the creature to rest. He had cleared a corner of his cabin, lining it with soft blankets and a few of his personal items to make it feel safe. The creature curled up, and Orion sat nearby, watching it sleep. He felt a sense of peace he had not felt in a long time. "You're going to be okay here," he murmured. "I promise." Lyra's heart moved at his words. She had watched countless species and civilizations across the stars, but she had never felt such a pure connection from a stranger. Orion's actions reminded her that even in the vast universe, small gestures could carry great power. As the day progressed, Orion noticed the creature reacting to certain sounds and lights in ways he could not explain. Its scales pulsed softly with color, almost as if it were communicating in a language beyond human understanding. Orion leaned closer, fascinated. "You're trying to tell me something, aren't you?" he asked. The creature tilted its head and let out a soft chirp. Orion frowned, unsure what it meant, but he did not feel afraid. Instead, he felt trust. He was beginning to realize that this was no ordinary animal. From her hidden vantage point, Lyra smiled. The creature was responding to Orion not just with instinct, but with recognition. He had a unique energy, a warmth that her companion seemed to recognize immediately. Lyra's fascination grew. She had never seen anyone human or otherwise connect so quickly and sincerely with her companion. By mid-afternoon, Orion decided to take the creature outside for some fresh air. The forest around his cabin was alive with color and movement. Strange plants swayed as if in rhythm with the wind, and tiny glowing insects floated through the air like living lanterns. Orion carried the creature carefully, talking to it softly as they moved. The creature seemed more relaxed outdoors. It sniffed the grass, twitched its fin-like wings, and even attempted to walk on its injured leg. Orion encouraged it gently, giving it small pats and words of reassurance. The bond between them grew stronger by the minute. Lyra followed silently, keeping her distance but never taking her eyes off them. She was amazed by Orion's patience and his ability to understand the creature's subtle signals. He was listening, observing, and responding, not just acting out of instinct. This level of empathy was rare, even in her empire. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, Orion sat on a smooth rock, letting the creature rest beside him. He was tired but content. The forest around them was quiet, the kind of silence that carried a sense of wonder rather than emptiness. Orion looked at the creature and smiled. "You know," he said softly, "I don't even know your name, but I promise I'll keep you safe." The creature let out a small, happy chirp, nudging his hand with its head. Orion laughed quietly. "I guess that's your way of saying thank you." Lyra felt a strange warmth in her chest. She had watched countless beings throughout the galaxy, but none had touched her heart in this way. Orion's simple act of helping, his gentle attention, his unwavering patience, these were qualities she admired deeply. As night fell, Orion lit a small lantern near the cabin and prepared a simple meal for himself. The creature curled up nearby, its scales glowing faintly in the dim light. Orion's thoughts wandered. He had always dreamed of adventure, of discovering something new, but he had never imagined it would come in the form of a small, injured creature in the forest. Lyra, still hidden, felt a strange sense of anticipation. The bond she saw forming between Orion and her companion was powerful. She realized that this human, so ordinary in appearance but extraordinary in spirit, could change more than just the fate of a single creature. Perhaps, she thought, he could change the course of entire worlds. Orion leaned back, looking up at the stars. Valara's sky was unlike Earth's, filled with constellations he had never seen before. He felt small beneath the vast expanse, yet strangely connected to everything around him: the forest, the creature, the wind, the glowing insects. And though he did not know it, far across the galaxy, someone was watching him with admiration, hope, and curiosity. The creature shifted, resting its head on Orion's lap. He stroked its scales gently, feeling a calm energy flow through him. He realized that helping others, even beings so different from himself, brought a kind of fulfillment that he had never experienced before. "Maybe this is what it means to make a difference," he whispered. "One small act at a time." Lyra, hidden among the trees, nodded to herself. She had witnessed many great leaders and heroes across the stars, but Orion's courage and kindness were different. They were quiet, subtle, and yet incredibly powerful. In that moment, she felt certain that humans were a species worth paying attention to. As the night deepened, Orion and the creature settled into the cabin. The forest outside was alive with soft sounds, rustling leaves, distant calls of alien creatures, and the gentle hum of Valara itself. Orion felt a deep sense of peace, unaware that this calm night marked only the beginning of something much larger. Lyra's gaze lingered on Orion as she faded from view, leaving him unaware of her presence. She had chosen to remain hidden for now, allowing him to continue caring for her companion. But she knew that soon, circumstances would force their paths to cross directly. For now, though, Orion's quiet bravery and pure heart were enough. Enough to save a life, enough to earn the trust of a creature unlike any other, and enough to catch the attention of a princess who had traveled across the stars. And so, as the stars shimmered above Valara, a silent bond began to grow between a human and an alien creature. and between a human and a distant princess who had not yet revealed herself. The universe had begun its quiet plan, and Orion, completely unaware, was already at its center. The next morning on Valara began with a gentle golden light spilling across the hills and the forest surrounding Orion's cabin. Birds sang in their bright voices, and the soft hum of the wind through the trees filled the air. Orion awoke to the familiar sound of soft chirps. The creature he had saved yesterday was moving around, testing its injured leg. Orion watched closely. It was making slow but steady progress, wobbling at first but gradually gaining strength. "That's it," Orion said, smiling. "You're stronger than you know." He crouched down and gently encouraged it to take a few steps. The creature hesitated, then took a careful stride, then another. Finally, it moved freely enough to wag its fin-like wings in excitement. Orion laughed, feeling a warm sense of pride. "You're doing amazing." Little did he realize that this moment of quiet happiness was about to change. Far beyond Valara, Lyra had watched the morning unfold. The creature had already begun to recognize Orion as its friend and protector. Lyra, still hidden, was impressed with how quickly the bond had grown. She thought about revealing herself but hesitated. The human's kindness was rare, and she wanted to see more of how he behaved under unexpected circumstances. As the sun climbed higher, Orion decided to take the creature for a walk deeper into the forest. He wanted it to stretch its legs and regain full strength. The forest was alive with light and color, and Orion marveled at how much life there was beyond the colony. Strange flowers glowed softly, tiny creatures scuttled through the underbrush, and the trees seemed almost alive, swaying as if greeting him, the creature. Sensing Orion's calm confidence, walked close by, keeping pace with him. Its scales shimmered in the sunlight, casting little reflections across the forest floor. Orion couldn't help but feel amazed. He had expected to find just a small, injured animal, but what he had found was extraordinary. Its behavior, its intelligence, and its trust in him all hinted at something beyond what he understood. Suddenly, a sharp noise echoed through the forest, a series of strange, metallic shrieks that Orion had never heard before. His body tensed. "That doesn't sound friendly," he murmured. The creature froze, its fin wings twitching nervously. Orion looked around, scanning the trees and the nearby hills. From the shadows, a group of strange creatures emerged. They were taller than humans, with smooth, dark skin that reflected light like polished stone. Their eyes were narrow and bright, and they moved with careful, almost robotic precision. Orion had never seen anything like them before, and instinctively, he understood they were not here for friendship. The creatures circled closer, their movements calculated but cautious. Orion's mind raced. He had no weapons beyond basic tools, and these beings were clearly more advanced in physical capabilities. But Orion had something else: his ingenuity and his determination to protect. He remembered the creature beside him, still wobbling slightly from its injury. He gently placed his hand on its side. "Don't worry," he whispered. "We'll get through this," using a combination of quick thinking and his engineering knowledge. Orion scanned the forest for anything that could help. There were large vines hanging from the trees and rocks scattered across the ground. He picked up a few heavy stones and tested the vines for flexibility. Then he had an idea. He quickly rigged a simple trap, a network of vines connected to rocks, designed to create a barrier and slow down the approaching creatures. It wasn't perfect, but it might give them enough time to escape. Orion's heart pounded, but he remained focused. Every human instinct, every lesson from his life on the colony came into play. The creatures advanced slowly, their attention caught by the shimmering scales of the rescued animal. Orion moved cautiously, leading the creature toward the trap. He whispered, "Almost there. Just a little further." The creature responded, nudging him gently as if understanding the urgency. When they reached the trap, Orion triggered the vines, creating a temporary barricade. The creature stumbled, confused by the sudden obstruction. Orion seized the moment. "Now!" he shouted, grabbing the creature and running toward a narrow path he had noticed earlier in the forest. They moved as fast as they could, the forest around them blurring in motion. Orion's lungs burned, but he refused to stop. The creature stayed close, keeping pace despite its earlier injury. The human's courage and determination inspired trust and strength in the creature, allowing it to move faster than it ever could alone. After what felt like an eternity, they reached a small clearing near a calm stream. Orion set the creature down and took a moment to catch his breath. The water sparkled in the sunlight, and the forest seemed peaceful again. He examined the trap he had left behind. It had slowed the creatures, but it hadn't stopped them entirely. Orion realized that if they wanted to be safe, he would need to come up with a better plan. But he also knew he wasn't alone. The creature's abilities were still a mystery, and he sensed that there was more to it than met the eye as he thought. A soft glow appeared behind the trees. Lyra, who had been observing the situation closely, stepped forward for the first time. Her presence was subtle, almost ethereal. Orion froze, unsure what he was seeing. The glow resolved into a figure tall, graceful, with eyes that sparkled like stars. "You are brave," Lyra said softly. Her voice carried a gentle authority, but there was no threat in it. Orion blinked, startled. Who are you?" he asked. "I am Lyra," she said. "And that creature you helped is very important to me." Orion's heart raced. He had no idea he had been observed, let alone that the creature belonged to someone else, someone powerful. Lyra smiled faintly. "I saw how you cared for it, without hesitation, without fear. That is rare." Orion shook his head, still catching his breath. "I was just helping. I didn't know it was yours. I didn't even know what it really was." "That is what makes it remarkable," Lyra said. "Your kindness is genuine. That is something not everyone in the galaxy possesses." Her words surprised him. Orion had always believed that humans were capable of great courage and empathy, but hearing it from someone so different, so advanced, made him pause. As they spoke, the creatures that had pursued them were regrouping near the edge of the forest. Orion glanced toward them, then back at Lyra. "They're still coming," he said. "I need to protect the creature." Lyra nodded. "And you will. But you don't have to do it alone." She moved gracefully, and the forest around her seemed to respond. The trees swayed as if in rhythm with her presence, and the creatures hesitated, sensing a force they did not understand. Orion realized that Lyra was no ordinary being. Her power was subtle but undeniable. Working together, Orion and Lyra guided the creature toward a safer part of the forest. Orion used his ingenuity to set temporary barriers, while Lyra used her presence and knowledge to confuse the approaching creatures. The combination of human resourcefulness and alien insight created a strong defense, allowing the creature to move safely. Finally, after tense hours, the forest fell quiet. The pursuing creatures retreated, seemingly unable to break through the combined efforts of Orion and Lyra. Orion sank to the ground, exhausted but relieved. The creature nuzzled him, and Orion felt a deep bond forming, stronger than ever before. Lyra approached him. "You are remarkable, Orion," she said softly. "Not because of your strength, but because of your heart. You care without expectation, and that is why this creature trusts you." Orion looked at her, still panting slightly. "I didn't do anything special. I just did what I thought was right." Lyra smiled. "That is what makes you extraordinary." As the sun set over Valara, painting the sky in warm shades of orange and purple, Orion realized something important. Courage was not just about facing dangers or fighting battles, it was about protecting those who could not protect themselves, even when the odds seemed impossible. And kindness, he realized, could be a power far greater than strength. The creature curled up beside him, its scales softly glowing in the twilight. Orion reached out, stroking its head gently. "We made it," he whispered. "We really did." Lyra watched silently from a distance, feeling a sense of hope she had not experienced in years. This human, with his simple heart and clever mind, had proven that even in a dangerous universe, one person's bravery could make a difference. And so, as the night fell, a new bond was forged, not just between a human and an alien creature, but also between a human and a princess who had begun to see him in a way that no one else had. The universe had tested Orion, and he had passed not with weapons, not with aggression, but with heart, courage, and ingenuity. And far across the stars, Lyra knew that this was only the beginning. The morning sun on Valara cast long, soft shadows across the forest floor. Orion awoke to the familiar chirping of the rescued creature, who had slept peacefully through the night. Its leg had healed significantly, and it was now able to walk and run with surprising agility. Orion smiled as he watched it explore the cabin's surroundings. "You're really getting better," he said warmly. "I knew you could do it," the creature chirped happily in response, its glowing scales reflecting the soft morning light. Orion felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Helping this creature had already changed his life in ways he did not yet fully understand. But as he looked at it, he realized that there was more at stake than he had imagined. Lyra, the princess who had been observing him from afar, had spent the night considering her next step. She had been captivated not only by Orion's courage, but also by his kindness. In her empire, actions like his were rare. Most beings acted out of duty, obligation, or self-interest. Orion, however, acted purely out of empathy. His every move was guided by his heart. Early in the morning, Lyra finally decided it was time to reveal herself. She approached the cabin slowly, her shimmering cloak blending with the light filtering through the trees. Orion, busy checking the creature's leg, did not notice her until a gentle voice spoke. "Orion," Lyra said softly. Orion looked up, startled. His eyes widened as he saw a figure standing before him. She was tall and elegant, her presence commanding yet gentle. Her eyes sparkled with a strange, otherworldly light. Orion froze, unsure how to respond. "I am Lyra," she said again, smiling kindly. "And the creature you rescued belongs to me." Orion blinked. You're the owner of this creature?" I didn't know. I helped it because it was hurt." Lyra's smile grew warmer. "And that is exactly why I'm grateful. Most beings would have ignored it or feared it, but you acted without hesitation, without concern for yourself. That is rare." Orion rubbed the back of his neck, feeling awkward. "I didn't do it to be special. I just couldn't leave it alone. It needed help." Lyra nodded, impressed. "That is what makes you extraordinary. Your heart guides you, and your courage supports your actions. It is a combination that is uncommon, even among advanced species." Orion glanced at the creature, who had stepped closer to Lyra and chirped softly, nuzzling her hand. It was clear that the creature recognized her and trusted her deeply. Orion watched the interaction with fascination. "You two know each other?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "Yes, this creature is not ordinary. It is trained to accompany me, to share experiences and assist me in many ways. And now, because of you, it is safe." Orion felt a mixture of awe and humility. He had never imagined that the small act of helping an injured creature could connect him to someone so important. But Lyra's calm presence and gentle words reassured him. Over the next few hours, Orion and Lyra talked, sharing stories about their worlds. Orion described the human colony on Valara, his work as an engineer, and his fascination with exploring new places. Lyra spoke of her homeworld, a distant empire filled with advanced technology and wisdom, but also rules and expectations that were unfamiliar to humans. Despite their differences, they found common ground. Both valued kindness, courage, and curiosity. Both had a sense of wonder about the universe. Orion realized that Lyra, though a princess, was not so different from himself. She had her own hopes, fears, and dreams. And Lyra, in turn, saw in Orion a spirit that reminded her of the very qualities she admired in her own people, but in a form she had never encountered before. As they spoke, the creature moved freely between them, chirping happily. It was clear that it trusted both Orion and Lyra, recognizing that the bond between them was important. Orion laughed softly as it curled around his feet, then darted to Lyra, as if guiding them closer together. "You've done more than save it," Lyra said softly. "You've built trust and friendship. That is something even the most advanced training cannot achieve." Orion smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. I didn't know I was doing anything special. I just followed my instincts. That is what makes it special," Lyra said. "You act with intention and heart, and that is why I have come to speak with you directly." The forest around them seemed to respond to the quiet moment. Soft rays of light filtered through the leaves, illuminating the clearing where they stood. Birds and small creatures watched silently, and even the wind seemed to carry a gentle, approving hum. Lyra took a step closer. "I have been observing you," she admitted. "Not just today, but since you first helped the creature. I wanted to understand your nature, to see if your courage and kindness were genuine. And they are. More than I could have imagined." Orion felt his heart race. He had never been praised like this before, certainly not by someone from another world. "I'm not sure what to say," he admitted. "Say nothing," Lyra said softly. "Your actions already speak for themselves. But I want you to understand something important. Your choices matter. Even small acts of kindness, like helping a creature in need, can ripple outward and touch worlds far beyond your own." Orion thought about her words. He had always believed in helping others, but he had never considered that such actions could have a cosmic impact. I guess I never thought of it that way," he said. Lyra smiled. "That is why your kind is unique. Humans have a way of caring and acting that is not always predictable, but it is powerful. You inspire trust, cooperation, and hope in ways that even advanced civilizations sometimes struggle to achieve." The rescued creature chirped again, hopping onto Orion's shoulder. Orion laughed, holding it gently. "I guess we make a good team," he said. Lyra nodded, her eyes softening. "Indeed. And now, I wish to invite you to learn more about my world, to see the possibilities that exist beyond this forest and beyond Valara. But only if you choose to. I will not force you. Your free will is just as important as your courage." Orion paused, considering. The idea of visiting a distant empire, seeing worlds he had never imagined, was overwhelming. But the thought of doing so alongside someone who valued kindness, courage, and understanding as much as he did was thrilling. I would like that," he said finally, a smile spreading across his face. Lyra's expression brightened. "Then it is settled. We will prepare, and you will see that the universe has many wonders waiting for those willing to act with heart and bravery for the rest of the day." Orion and Lyra continued to care for the creature, observing its behavior and learning from it. Orion taught Lyra about simple human engineering techniques, and Lyra shared small insights about her world's technology and culture. Each moment built trust and understanding between them. As the sun began to set, casting a warm orange glow over the forest, Orion realized that this connection between him, Lyra, and the creature was something extraordinary. It was rare, precious, and filled with potential. "You know," he said quietly, "I never imagined that helping an injured creature could lead to all this." Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. "The universe has a way of surprising those who act with heart. You are one of those rare individuals who inspires change simply by being yourself." Orion felt a deep sense of gratitude and humility. He had acted without expectation, and yet the results were beyond anything he could have imagined. He realized that courage and kindness were not just personal qualities, they were forces that could shape the future. As night fell, Orion, Lyra, and the creature sat together near the small stream outside his cabin. Stars sparkled in the sky above, and the gentle sounds of Valara's forest surrounded them. Orion felt a sense of peace, knowing that he was part of something larger than himself, a connection that spanned species, planets, and hearts. And in that quiet night, a bond solidified not just between Orion and the creature, but between Orion and Lyra, a princess from a distant world who had come to see the extraordinary potential within a simple human heart. The universe had begun to open its doors, and Orion, with his bravery, kindness, and empathy, was ready to step through them. The morning sun bathed Valara in soft golden light, painting the purple grass hills with warmth. Orion woke to the gentle chirps of the creature he had rescued. Its leg was now fully healed, and it moved with agility and confidence, hopping around the cabin as if celebrating its newfound strength. Orion smiled, feeling proud and happy. "You're doing great," he said, reaching down to stroke its shimmering scales. "I knew you could get better." The creature chirped in response and nuzzled Orion's hand. Its eyes flickered with the faint green glow that had first drawn him in. Orion had come to realize that this creature was no ordinary animal. It was intelligent, loyal, and somehow connected to the vast universe in ways he could not yet understand. Lyra, the princess of a distant alien empire, approached him softly. Today, however, her expression was different. There was a spark of excitement in her eyes, a sense of purpose. "Orion," she said, "today marks a new step in your journey." Orion looked up at her, curious. "What do you mean?" Lyra smiled. "I mean that your kindness, courage, and heart have been recognized not just by me, but by many who understand the value of your actions. It is time for you to see the universe in a way few humans ever do." Orion felt a mix of surprise and nervousness. "You mean leaving Valara?" "Yes," Lyra said, "but not alone. You will come to my homeworld as a guest, as an honored friend. And the creature you save will go with you, of course." She gestured to the shimmering companion, who chirped happily as if it understood the plan. Orion thought about it. Traveling across the stars to a distant empire was something he had only dreamed about. And yet, standing here with Lyra and the creature, he felt ready. His curiosity, his heart, and his courage all urged him forward. I'd like that," he said finally. Lyra's smile widened. "Then we shall prepare." Over the next few hours, Orion helped gather supplies and learn about the journey ahead. Lyra explained that her homeworld was far, far away, beyond several star systems, and that the trip would be long. Yet, she reassured him that they would travel safely. Orion listened carefully, absorbing every detail with excitement and a little nervousness. "You humans are remarkable," Lyra said at one point. "You adapt quickly, even in unfamiliar situations, and your determination is inspiring." Orion chuckled. "I just tried to do what's right," he replied. Lyra shook her head slightly, a soft smile on her face. "That is exactly why you are extraordinary. Doing what's right without expectation is a rare gift." Finally, the preparations were complete. Lyra guided Orion and the creature to a sleek, glowing spacecraft hidden within the forest. It hovered silently above the ground, its surface shimmering with soft colors that seemed alive. Orion stared in awe. He had seen human spacecraft, but this was unlike anything he had ever imagined. The creature chirped excitedly and leapt onto Orion's shoulder, its eyes flickering with joy. Orion laughed softly. "I guess we're ready," he said. As they entered the spacecraft, Lyra activated the controls. The vessel hummed to life, and a soft energy field enveloped them. Orion felt a thrill run through him as the cabin lifted into the sky, rising above Valara's purple hills. He looked down, watching his home fade beneath them. For a moment, he felt a pang of nostalgia, but excitement and curiosity quickly replaced it. The journey through space was breathtaking. Stars streaked past as the spacecraft traveled faster than Orion had ever imagined. Nebulae glowed in brilliant colors, distant planets sparkled, and the silence of space was peaceful and awe-inspiring. Orion could hardly contain his wonder. "This is incredible," he said, turning to Lyra. "I never imagined space could look like this." Lyra smiled. "The universe is vast, full of wonders, and this is only a small glimpse. You are about to see much more." As they traveled, Orion observed the creature closely. It seemed to respond to the energy of the spacecraft, chirping and glowing more brightly at times. He realized that the creature was not just intelligent, it was connected to Lyra in ways he did not yet fully understand. Their bond had grown stronger since he first rescued it, and now it seemed to communicate a quiet reassurance to both Orion and Lyra. Finally, after what felt like days but was measured in moments through the spacecraft's advanced technology, they approached Lyra's homeworld. The planet was larger than Valara, with towering crystal cities that shimmered in the sunlight, vast forests that glowed with energy, and rivers of liquid light flowing between mountains. Orion could hardly believe his eyes. Lyra guided him to a landing platform in one of the crystal cities. As the spacecraft touched the ground, Orion stepped out, taking in the breathtaking view. Citizens of the Empire moved gracefully through the streets, their clothing and appearance unlike anything Orion had ever seen. Yet, despite their differences, Orion felt a strange sense of welcome. "You have been honored for your courage and kindness," Lyra said softly. Your actions have been noticed, and your heart recognized. Few humans have this level of empathy and bravery. Orion felt a mix of humility and pride. I didn't do anything extraordinary, he said. I just helped because I knew it was the right thing to do. Lyra placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. That is exactly why it is extraordinary. The universe values heart, courage, and empathy more than power or fame. You have proven that humans are capable of great influence through simple, genuine acts. Over the next few days, Orion explored Lyra's world. He marveled at the advanced technology, the flowing energy systems, and the beauty of the alien culture. Yet, despite all the wonders, Orion noticed that what impressed him most was not the technology, it was the connection between beings, the care they had for one another, and the harmony they shared with their environment. The rescued creature remained by his side, its glowing eyes reflecting the soft light of the crystal cities. Orion realized that the bond he had formed with the creature and the bond it shared with Lyra was a bridge between worlds. He was no longer just a human from a small colony. He had become part of a larger story, one that crossed planets, species, and hearts. Lyra introduced Orion to her family and advisors, who were amazed by his courage and kindness. They asked about the events on Valara, the injured creature, and how Orion had acted without fear or hesitation. Orion answered simply, speaking from his heart. He told them that he had only acted out of what he believed was right, that he had tried to help a being in need without expecting reward. The audience was silent for a moment, then one advisor spoke. Humans are truly remarkable. To act with courage and empathy in the face of uncertainty is rare in any civilization. Lyra smiled at Orion. And now, you see the truth. Your actions have not only saved a life, but have also opened the door to understanding between our worlds. Orion felt a deep sense of purpose. He realized that his simple act of kindness on Valara had created ripples far beyond what he could have imagined. It had connected him with a princess, a powerful empire, and a creature unlike any other. And it had shown him that human qualities, compassion, courage, ingenuity were not limited to their planet. They were universal strengths. As night fell over Lyra's homeworld, the city lights shimmered like stars on the ground. Orion stood with Lyra and the creature on a high terrace, looking out over the glowing forests and rivers. He felt small beneath the vast sky, yet connected to everything. Lyra spoke softly. You have proven that humans are capable of extraordinary things. You do not need weapons, wealth, or power. Your heart and courage are enough to change lives, even worlds. Orion looked at her, smiling. I just never realized that helping someone could mean so much. Lyra reached out, placing a hand gently on his arm. That is the power of your kind. Humans inspire, protect, and lead with heart. Never forget that, the creature chirped happily, jumping onto Orion's shoulder. Orion laughed, feeling a warmth in his chest. Together, they looked at the stars above the planet, knowing that this was only the beginning. New adventures awaited, new worlds to explore, and new connections to build. For the first time in his life, Orion felt that he truly belonged not just on Valara, but in the universe itself. And he understood something important, that the heart of a human, when guided by courage, kindness, and empathy, could shine brighter than any star. Lyra smiled at him, her eyes reflecting the glowing city below. Welcome to a new beginning, Orion. This is only the start of the story that will touch many lives. Across many worlds, Orion looked at the creature, at Lyra, and at the vast universe stretching before him. He felt hope, excitement, and a deep sense of purpose. Then let's see what comes next, he said softly. And so, under the glittering sky of an alien world, a human, a princess, and a remarkable creature stood together, ready to face the wonders of the universe. The bond they shared, born from a simple act of kindness, had grown into a force powerful enough to inspire trust, friendship, and adventure across the stars. The universe had opened its doors, and Orion, with his heart, courage, and empathy, was ready to step through them toward new beginnings, new discoveries, and the limitless possibilities of life among the stars.